You ever get the feeling the world's gone mad, and you're the last sane man on a mountain full of lunatics? Yeah, that's where I was, 30 feet up a ladder, hammer in one hand, sun on my back. Thinking the worst thing I'd faced that day was a loose shingle or maybe a squirrel with an attitude. Then that white truck rolled in, Evergreen Peaks HOA, plastered on the side in green. And 3 dudes hopped out in uniforms so fake they could have come from Party City. Clipboard guy leads the pack, eyes hidden behind mirrored sunglasses, looking at me like I'm a problem he can solve. With paperwork and a smirk. And I knew right then, these boys picked the wrong hill to die on. Let me back up a sec. My name's Thomas Grayson, retired Marine, stubborn as a tree stump and proud owner of 40 acres that aren't supposed to belong to anyone but me. This cabin, hand-built, no mortgage, no city water, no cell signal. Just me, creaky floorboards, and enough peace to make a man believe in second chances. So, when Mr. Clipboard struts up and hands me a printed eviction notice, quoting something called the Cascadia Valley Zoning Compact like it's the 10 Commandments, I nearly bust out laughing. You ever have someone tell you to get off your own land with that much confidence? It's almost impressive if you ignore how pathetic it is. But see, it gets weirder. They start tossing around legalese, claiming their expanded jurisdiction now covers my land because some fake boundary line moved on a map last month. You have 2 hours to vacate before remediation, says sunglasses, like he's reading from a script. I give them my best, bless your heart, smile, and tell them the only thing getting vacated is their attitude, because I've got the deed, GPS coordinates, and a laminated county map that says otherwise. They stomp off, dust in the air, threats trailing behind like toilet paper stuck to a shoe. I'm not dumb, though. The moment they leave, I check my cameras, hidden, solar, all angles covered. I pull out the property deed, verify it's all legal, and call the sheriff. That's when the real twist hits. Dispatch says they've already had a call about a dangerous squatter at my address, supposedly armed, threatening hikers. Yeah, that happened. I tell them I'm the only one out here, and I sure as hell haven't threatened anyone. But I know a setup when I see one. False report, official channels tied up. Now they've got a story ready if things go sideways. So I start prepping. Duffel packed with essentials, hard drive, deed, USB backups, the works. Glock on my belt, Mossberg behind the door, and my phone in hand as I send out a code to 2 old friends, Mark and Jose. We'd fought uglier fights in uglier places. And when you call in the cavalry, you keep it short, Northern Ridge. False docs. Law not responding. Might escalate. About 45 minutes later, I hear another truck, then another. This time it's a full parade, 2 white pickups, a gray trailer, 8 guys in the same wannabe military get-ups, one with bolt cutters, another with a damn gas torch. They look like they're about to film a reality show called Extreme Home Demolition, HOA Edition. Clipboard's back, this time with a heavy-set guy, probably their Rent-A-Cop security lead. They announce, loud, official, almost proud, that they're about to start tearing down my home. They're quoting statutes that don't exist, waving maps that look official but wouldn't pass a sniff test at a pawn shop. Here's where things get cinematic. As they start fanning out, one heading for my power relay, 2 messing with the front gate. I step up, voice steady, and warn them they're trespassing on camera. And I've got every badge number, every action, every word. They act like I'm invisible until the drone buzzes overhead. See, Mark and Jose aren't just muscle, they're tech. Mark's chest GoPro is rolling, Jose's drone is streaming, and when they walk out of the tree line, everything shifts. 8 fake enforcers suddenly freeze. One guy literally drops his clipboard, another backs away from the fence like it might bite. I lay it out for them. This is private property. County records prove it. And if they don't clear out, everything they're doing will be broadcast, reported, and prosecuted. Mark backs me up, hard drive in hand, drone focused on their plates, their faces, everything. Clipboard tries to argue, but Mark shuts him down. You're gonna look great in court. Then a voice crackles over the radio. Karen, the real puppet master, shrieking, abort, abort, fall back. The HOA retreat is pure comedy, tripping over toolboxes, tossing gear into the trailer, shoving papers into pockets as if hiding the evidence will save them. But we're not done. As they bail, they drop a folder, field notes, fake maps, even a vote log from an emergency HOA meeting, authorizing my removal. Their evidence is nothing but outdated zoning maps and signatures from board members. Karen at the top. We find out they've been operating through a shady private security firm 2 counties away, no licenses, no permits. Mark and Jose scan everything, back it up, and I call my lawyer, Rhonda, an ex-federal bulldog with a nose for fraud. Here's the twist. This isn't just Karen on a suburban power trip. Rhonda digs in and finds political donations funneled into the HOA from Devlin Ridge Developments, a corporate land gobbler with a rep for hostile acquisitions. They'd use the HOA as a front to push out holdouts like me, then rezone, flip, and cash out. The attempted eviction? Just another domino in their blueprint. You know what I mean? It's never just about grass length or house paint. It's about money, land, and who gets to rewrite the rules. With the evidence we'd gathered, footage, fake docs, Devlin's money trail, Rhonda files an injunction, goes to the media, and the story explodes overnight. Suddenly, my quiet mountain standoff is headline news. People come out of the woodwork, other victims, a congressman's aide, even a state AG investigator. Support pours in and pressure mounts. That's when the real retaliation hits. Next morning, our creek, my only water source, is blocked by sacks of fresh concrete. Pure sabotage. Jose loses it. Mark documents everything, drone footage included. Rhonda brings in a hydrologist who confirms it's deliberate, criminal interference. I call the sheriff again this time. Deputy Curtis shows up with backup, reviewing footage, promising real action. Meanwhile, the HOA is prepping another assault, renting trucks, staging riot shields, even printing fake condemnation signs. At 3 p.m. sharp, they roll in like they own the place, until Curtis and a squad of deputies come barreling in, sirens wailing, rifles slung. Karen's crew gets zip-tied on the spot, caught with unlicensed weapons, forged documents, and about a mile of legal trouble. Karen arrives screaming about authority, but Curtis just says, "Not anymore, Karen." Best line of the day. Within a week, Evergreen Peaks HOA is dissolved by court order. Karen's indicted, false reports, conspiracy, fraud. I get a settlement check I didn't ask for, but what matters is the peace. No more patrols, no more fake cops, just wind in the trees and a flag on my porch that says, "Don't threaten a Marine with eviction." And you know what? As the sun goes down, sometimes I sit on that rebuilt porch and wonder, how many more Karens are out there, drunk on power, waiting for someone to push back? Maybe that's a fight for another day. But today, this land's still mine. What about you? What would you have done if they came for your home? Drop your thoughts below. Hit that like if you believe in standing your ground, and subscribe if you want more real stories from the last sane man on the mountain. Funny thing about victory, when it finally comes, it doesn't hit you with a parade or fireworks, just this heavy, exhausted silence, like your bones finally believe it's safe to rest. After Curtis and his team hauled off the last of Karen's HOA stormtroopers, the clearing outside my cabin felt lighter, almost sacred, like the air had been scrubbed clean of arrogance and bad intentions. Mark and Jose lingered for another day or two, patching up the fence line, replacing busted locks, making damn sure nothing got left to chance. Jose insisted on double-checking the far ridge. He's got that sixth sense for trouble, and he found new tire tracks hidden under pine needles, proof someone had circled back during the night. Probably just curiosity. Or maybe a stray Karen sympathizer. But out here, paranoia is not a weakness. It's how you keep your name off a headstone. By the weekend, word had spread through the valley like wildfire. Locals showed up with casseroles, coffee, and more stories about Karen than I could stomach in a month. Old Hank, the smokehouse king, wandered up my driveway with a battered thermos and a knowing grin. "Told you she was trouble, son. First it's your mailbox. Next thing you know, she's measuring your damn porch." I laughed. God, I needed that. Some folks just shook my hand. Others left notes on the gate. "You're the reason we stayed," or, "If you ever need backup, call." I kept every one of those notes, tucked in a coffee can inside the pantry, right beside my first set of Marine dog tags. It should have been the end, you know? But when you stand up to bullies this loud, you paint a target on your back that doesn't wash off with a court order. Next week, my mailbox was smashed in broad daylight. The new no HOA sign shot clean through with a .22, and one afternoon I caught a drone hovering just above the tree line. Nothing local, something newer, quieter, blacked out. No visible registration. I recorded it, logged the footage, sent everything straight to Rhonda. She told me, "They're testing your nerves. Looking for a weak spot, hoping you'll mess up and give them a reason." Well, they picked the wrong Marine for a war of attrition. Then came the subpoenas, first for Karen, then for her two right-hand goons, and finally, one for me. Court dates, depositions. Hours spent in Tacoma under buzzing fluorescent lights, explaining to lawyers in suits how a bunch of HOA wannabes almost stole 40 acres out from under a veteran because some corporation with deep pockets wanted to redraw the map. You'd think the story would get old, but every time I told it, I saw jaws drop. Hell, even the county clerk started rooting for me. The trial made headlines across the state, with reporters circling like vultures, some looking for a soundbite, others actually listening. The highlight? Watching Karen on the stand, trying to explain how she forged official maps, using Photoshop and a printer she bought at Office Depot. The judge was not impressed. Neither was the jury. But the real twist, the one nobody saw coming, happened after Karen was convicted. Turns out, Devlin Ridge wasn't ready to quit. They sent a pair of real estate advisors to my gate, fancy suits, city accents, offering double market value for the sake of the community. I almost choked on my coffee. Mark happened to be there that day, just leaned against the porch rail with his arms crossed, not saying a word, and those suits left about as fast as they'd shown up. Jose told me later, "You ever get tired of being the stick in their spokes?" Not a chance. But what really rattled me was the morning I found my well sabotaged, cover pried off, sand poured inside. Clear as day someone wanted to make living here as hard as possible. No note, no tracks, just the quiet warning of a snake that's not done biting. I spent that afternoon digging out the sand, flushing the lines, cursing every developer from here to Seattle. I kept telling myself, it's just desperation. They're losing, so they're getting sloppy. But the tension was back. That low hum in your bones when you know you're not quite out of the woods yet. The community came through again. Folks volunteered to do patrols at night, and one teenager from up the road, Ava, sharp as a tack, could run a trail cam better than most adults, started sending me photos of every unfamiliar truck that passed her dad's ranch. I gave her $100, told her to keep coming, and let's just say the next time a black SUV rolled through, it was gone before I could even put on my boots. Still, I tightened security, more cameras, more signs, another call to Rhonda too. Make sure every new incident got logged and sent to the DA. That's when the media hit again. Northwest Field Line ran a follow-up, this time focusing on Devlin Ridge's other shady land grabs, farmers run off, seniors harassed, even a church parking lot suddenly rezoned. Suddenly, my little war became the spark for a bigger fire. Petitions, protest rallies in town, calls for state investigations. The county council had to start every meeting with, "No, we are not selling to developers. No, we are not extending HOA boundaries." They even brought in outside auditors to comb through every zoning change from the past 5 years. And you know what? For the first time, it felt like the bad guys were the ones getting nervous. Karen's old crew faded into the background. One of them, the guy with the bolt cutters, wrote me an apology letter. Said he was just trying to feed his family, didn't realize he'd signed up to be a thug. I believe him. People get desperate. But Karen? She's still fighting, appealing, blaming everyone but herself. Saw her in town last week, staring daggers across the hardware store parking lot. I just tipped my hat and kept walking. Some folks never learn. As for me, I finally got the well fixed, rebuilt the mailbox out of quarter-inch steel, repainted the gate. The old sign still hangs above the porch, "Don't threaten a Marine with eviction." Only now there's a fresh flag flying beneath it. Every so often, a new neighbor will show up, ask if the stories are true, if I really faced down a rogue HOA and won. I just smile, pour him some coffee, and let them see for themselves. Out here, the truth sticks closer to the ground than any rumor. And if you think that means the fight's over, well, maybe you've never lived in a place worth fighting for. I keep my cameras rolling, my land clear, and my friends close. If Devlin Ridge or anyone else wants another round, I've got a seat waiting on the porch and a drone in the sky. Like I said before, you never really own peace. You just keep it as long as you're willing to stand your ground. So tell me, would you have backed down or stood up? Leave your answer in the comments. Share your own story if you've ever tangled with an HOA or a bully with too much power. And hey, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and ring the bell, because out here, every voice counts. And sometimes the loudest truth comes from the quietest patch of woods.